And speak to Iyad al-Baghdadi, who's a prominent writer, Arab Spring activist, and also the founder of Khashoggi Foundation. And we were speaking before, Iyad, and you gave us a quote, a very interesting quote. You said, if you're a sailor, you cannot be afraid of the sea. And so I know myself, I have this question, and a lot of people will be wondering, you know, would you take the risk and walk into the Saudi consulate in Oslo?
Well, I mean, for good reasons. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I have no reason really to enter the Saudi embassy. I happen to be a Palestinian citizen. In Norway here, I'm considered stateless since Norway does not recognize the state of Palestine. And as a result, I really have no relationship with any embassy. But then, you know, there is such a thing as rational risk and there is irrational risk. I mean, there's reasonable risk and there's unreasonable risk. And I believe that, I mean, from my own conversations with Jamal before his untimely death, the matter of getting married and getting back into some kind of stability, building a new life in exile, really was very, very important to him, because he felt that, maybe MBS is going to be in power for a long time. He will not be able to go back home, and therefore he has to build a life in exile. So I completely understand that, that was a risk that he was maybe willing to take more than, I think it's not really just about that paper itself. I think it was a representation of what should have been a new beginning for Jamal. Unfortunately, it ended up being his demise.
Indeed it was. Iyad, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us on TRT World. Really appreciate your time and all your thoughts. Iyad al-Baghdadi, thank you very much indeed. All right, and let's cross back to Washington and bring in Ali Al-Ahmed. Ali, I want to ask you, I don't know if you picked up a copy of the Wall Street Journal, but I think it was today or yesterday, a full-page ad of Visit Saudi Arabia. They're promoting their tourism. Tell us what do you think of, the push to open Saudi Arabia up to tourism now, the image of Saudi Arabia there from the US, and also relations as they stand today between the US and Saudi Arabia?
The tourism opening is I think too late, because number one it's a good step to open the country for tourists. The problem is here is the Saudi government, which says that it is the leader of the Arab and Muslim world. On its tourist program, there is not a single Arab country that you can apply for visa online and go as a tourist. There is only one Muslim country, that's Brunei in Asia. So only one Muslim out of 56 Muslim countries are allowed to be tourists in Saudi Arabia. So this is number one. Number two is the problem in the country, because of the government, the monarchy, and specifically the corruption, the infrastructure of tourism is not existent. The government of Saudi Arabia has destroyed 95% basically of the country's history. I can tell you, for example, because we are on Turkish TV, they destroyed every evidence of Turkish presence in Arabian Peninsula, in the Hijaz region, like bridges, forts, anything that says was built by the Turkish authority or the Ottoman Empire at the time. And they destroyed local culture, the monuments, everything. So what's remaining in the country in terms of tourism is very small, and the infrastructure does not exist, and the prices of hotels, for example, are so expensive. A hotel room in Riyadh is more expensive than a hotel room in Washington, D.C. So it's not going to be easy for tourists to come and visit, and there's not much to visit anyway. So this is an issue that they will have to face, and of course the weather is not that great as well for Western tourists. In terms of this being a reform, again, this is just one thing that they are saying. It's a reform. At the end of the day, with a repressive environment, tourism does not flourish in an environment where women cannot move around, where the people are being oppressed. Are the tourists going to watch executions every Friday in the middle of the square? I don't think that's going to be very appealing.
All right. Ali, you've really sold Saudi Arabia as a tourism destination there for us. Ali Al-Ahmed, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on TRT World on the News Hour. Thank you very much indeed, appreciate it. All right, so I want to go back to you, Azzam, and you were shaking your head when we looked at the video, the interview of Mohammed bin Salman on CBS, where he was asked, did you order the killing? And he said no. Why did you shake your head?
Well, that was a pathetic exercise in PR, really. I mean, someone probably said to him, if you claim responsibility because you are the head of state, that might help your image. Now, everybody knows he ordered. It's unthinkable in Saudi Arabia that a heinous crime like this would be committed by such a death squad without orders, explicit, direct orders from Mohammed bin Salman himself.
All right.
But if you don't mind, I want to go back to the question you asked Iyad about visiting the consulate.
Yeah.
Of course, he answered brilliantly. He's a Palestinian, etc. But let me tell you what happened between me and Jamal when he told me he was going to go to the consulate. I said to him, are you sure you want to go to the consulate? These people kidnap people. You see, we thought he might be kidnapped. It never occurred to us they'd kill him inside the consulate. He said, I was there on Friday.
They gave him tea as well.
Yes,
they gave him tea, they treated him well.
Initially they panicked when they saw me, he said. But, you know, these are my countrymen. Oh, they welcomed me and they promised to help me, and I need that paper. I didn't trust that he was going to be safe, but it never occurred to me this would be his fate. And he was happy, he was going to be married, and he needed that piece of paper.
Incredible. It's really incredible. We thought maybe kidnapped, but not murdered.
Yes, because they have a history of this. They have a history of kidnappings. Yes, eventually they might have, the kidnapped victims might have ended being liquidated. Okay. It's true, but it never happened that they killed someone in their own consulate before.
Hold that thought. We'll come back to you. All right.